Do you wish Dapper Laughs never existed?
His company is what you might call extreme laddism, sexist crude.
Some girls complained, said my vines are sexist and self-indulgent. But the bottom of my heart, they're about comedy and not about getting girls moist.
I was one of the first people to get 1 million followers on Facebook. My videos were going everywhere, and then the next minute I was on TV. And then the next minute I was doing like the personal appearances. People were queuing up for selfies. Truth of the matter is, I was influencing millions of lads. Although that's a joke in my eyes, if my daughter was walking down the street now and some lad was like, look at her, she's proper moist, she knows, I'd fucking flip. There's no way you can be free of things that have happened to you in your past unless you take a certain amount of accountability to them. 10 years ago, in a word, I was a twat. The problem that you've got if you can't control your drinking is you run the risk of ruining every celebration in your life because we drink when we celebrate. Sobriety is so hard because as soon as anything bad would come up, you can instantly escape it with drink. That's been the last 20 years of my life. What I'd say to anyone right now that doesn't think they've got a problem, but if something bad happens to you in your life, it could kill you.
Biggest regret, bro?
Yeah, tough one.
Dapper Laughs.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome, man. Thank you. And thank you for showing me round. Thank you for showing me round. We had a nice little meeting and then met a couple of your friends and
little coffee stop.
Little coffee. Thank you.
What do you think of that coffee? It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. You gave me a little insight into your life down here.
Set the scene a bit. Just before offline we were talking, weren't we? I just said proper moist. That's how I remember you, those words.
Cringe.
When I
Cringe.
say proper moist now, what do you think?
I cringe, mate. Yeah, I mean, the thing is such a weird one because I look back now and some of it's difficult to watch. But at the time, as a comedian, all of my jokes really were a reflection or an exaggerated sort of reflection of my life at the time, and I was young, wild, free, single, young lad, and Dapper Laughs was really an exaggeration of lad culture, an amplified version of lad culture. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I was living in lad culture. I was living with 4 lads in Clapham. But yeah, I cringe.
Good times though, no?
Good times, yeah. I mean, what you've got to remember is if I was 20-something, mid-20s, loads of followers, and then got a TV show teaching men how to pull birds. I mean, do you know what I mean? I loved it at the time, but when I look back now, it makes my skin crawl, yeah.
It's like completed it, isn't it?
Yeah.
As with every guest, I always like to go back a little bit to the early years, because we were saying earlier in the car, who we are today is always shaped by kind of early on in life. So give me a little bit of an overview. What was the early years like? What was your childhood like? Where were you born? What was it like growing up, like relationship with parents, etc.?
I don't think I had the best childhood, really. I'm doing counselling at the moment, actually, around a lot of the work that I'm doing with my sobriety and mental health and stuff like that. I've been counselling actually on and off for a good few years, and a lot of it's linked to my childhood, learning about what happened in my childhood that affected me becoming an addict later in life and wild behaviour and all of that jazz. But my mum and dad split up when I was quite young. My father, he had 7 brothers, 7 sisters, big Irish family.
Wow.
Yeah, O'Reilly's. And his old man was very strict. My old man was quite a hard man. He had a fucking dojo and everything, karate instructor, expert and all that jazz. But he had a...
Did you do any of that growing up?
No, he didn't really... I didn't really see... I saw my dad on and off when I was younger, but no, I didn't. I done mixed martial arts later on and got beaten up by Harvey from So Solid Crew.
No.
Yeah, I done an MMA bout, yeah.
Sick.
I done a cage fight, yeah, but it didn't work out. Lasted 21 seconds. No, I'm joking. But yeah, no... my old man and my mum had a volatile relationship. My old man was quite violent, unfortunately. And I can't remember it, but I saw some of that come from quite a bad domestic environment and a breakup when I was quite young. And then it was quite volatile all the way up until I was at school, my father trying to see us and, the courts and police and everything like that. It was quite difficult. My old man had his demons and my mum too. So quite an unsettled childhood growing up, but fun. Like aside from that, fun. It was just me, my mum, my sister for a long period of it.
Sister older or younger?
I've got an older sister. Now I've got 2 brothers as well and a younger sister. But yeah, but I was very, I know now that I've got ADHD. I wasn't diagnosed when I was a child, but I was, academically, it was very difficult for me. I'm dyslexic as well. With the ADHD and being unable to settle, I can't spell very well. And so academically it was difficult, but creatively, like drama and music and singing and dancing and all that, I thrived. But I was really naughty at school. I was in trouble with the police. I got arrested a lot through my teenage years, fighting, vandalism, and just wrong crowd. I say wrong crowd. I was the crowd. I was the crowd. But it was like at school, it was like just the area we were in. The boys, would drink and go and scrap and stuff like that. And quite a wild childhood. Got expelled, all that stuff.
Did you? Yeah. No, never did a stint in prison or anything.
No, very close, but no. But for not for anything serious, just for stupid stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like smashing things up and being a delinquent.
Do you reckon any of that this counselling piece is quite funny, isn't it? Because I've done a lot of it as well. Thinking they root everything back to a childhood, and a lot of my driver when I was young came from trying to fit in. Yeah. So I wonder, like with your counselling stuff you've done, have you got to the bottom of some of your actions now as an adult, like how that's linked to what you saw as a kid? Yeah, I mean, everything, through my whole career, I mean, even working in performing arts anyway, but especially being a comedian, even thinking about delving into comedy, majority of comedians are, pretty messed up because we're seeking constant, the pure art form of comedy is seeking approval every couple of seconds, mate, on stage. When you mix that into social media, when social media was created and the validation you get from likes, all of that interaction and stuff like that, it just drives pure insecurity. So growing up and everything, my whole life was driven from maybe a feeling of abandonment. My mum moved away as well when I was very young. When I was 15, she left. So my family was kind of disjointed as I was younger. But when I got to like 15 years old, my mum moved down to Cornwall and I wanted to stay to do acting. So I still feel like that was really young to very young to start on my own. When I look at 15-year-olds now, I think to myself, so I moved out when I was 15, and I think that there was a lot of seeking approval and insecurity and abandonment issues and stuff like that, which drove like, lashing out and like smashing things up if drinking too much and showing off. But I managed to craft that into an art form, I guess, and try and turn that into a vent for positivity with the comedy. But I mean, it followed me through life. Of course.
Yeah.
Is it still following you, do you think, now?
Yeah, I'm battling it all the time. I mean, that's addiction. Do you know what I mean? For me, addiction is getting a hug from somewhere, right? Of course. Do you know what I mean? Like unable to cope, emotional immaturity, being unable to handle your emotions. So through the last year and this week, actually, on Thursday, in a couple of days, I hit a year sober. And the biggest thing that I've learned through my sobriety journey was that alcohol, like I drank and seshed like everyone else did, but the difference with me was when everyone stopped, it was like a sociable thing for most people, but for me, I'd do it on my own as well. Yeah, like every excuse. So if it was a bank holiday or the sun was out, we'd drink. But when other people may have stopped or could put it down, I carried on. But not just that. When things got bad, if you've got alcohol and drugs turned into a way to cope for me, right? And that was through my childhood trauma. So when I was a child, we'd create, as a little baby or a tiny person, you escape in your mind when horrible things are happening around you. When you're older, as an adult, you seek ways to escape. And that's what the drink and drugs become a way to cope. And if life fucking comes at you hard, like people in your life die or bad things happen in your career, and you turn to the very thing that helps you cope, destroys you, then you're fucked. And that's what happened. That's addiction to me. For sure, yeah. And that kind of, all that naughtiness you were probably doing as a kid is just projecting how you feel outwards, isn't it? Yeah, anger or frustration. Anger at the world, anger at your dad, anger at your mum. Yeah. 15's fucking young, bro. Yeah, I was thinking then when I was 15, I wouldn't even be able to survive on my own, I don't think. Yeah, the crazy thing about it is... Where did you go? What did you do? My uncle owned a house, and he was moving in with his missus, and he rented it out to me, right? So I actually got a job. I worked at a go-kart track while I was actually still at school. or coming to the end, doing my GCSEs and stuff like that. But at the time, don't get me wrong, it wasn't. I didn't feel abandoned at the time.
Yeah.
At the time, I was fucking a 15-year-old lad that had just had somewhere to do
No
drugs.
parents telling you what to
we had
do. Yeah,
somewhere to drink and do drugs and bring girls to. Do you know what I mean? It was, but looking back on it now, I see now how internally I may have resented that, but also how it is young.
Very young.
It is young.
I mean,
but
how old are your kids?
my kids now, 5 and 7. Yeah, they will be in December. No, I couldn't imagine leaving them at that age. Before you asked, I couldn't. But so there is probably an element of resentment there. But everyone that's successful in life, I believe, majority of people that are truly successful and driven creatively, have had really tough things to overcome from an early age. I believe that. And I had I didn't know at 15 that I wanted to succeed or I wanted to do well, but I had an attitude of, I'm going to fucking do it then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm going to get things done.
It's interesting you say that. I've had quite a lot of creatives on the show and some of my friends are as well. There's definitely a link between, I don't want to say addiction and creativity, but there's a lot of adversity I've seen from those guys and they've been through something and come out the other end.
Yeah.
A lot of the creatives, more so than non-creative people, I've noticed.
The simplest way I can put it is you need something. So you sat at home on the couch, right, and you sat there watching TV and you're like, I need something. You know what it is? It's a chocolate biscuit.
Yeah.
But you don't need a chocolate biscuit, but you go and have a chocolate biscuit, then you have another one.
What is that though? I get that every night.
It's dopamine. Simply, it's dopamine. I need a little spike of dopamine, and then our brain turns it into different things. But for me, creativity, needing something, needing to be creative, needing to be funny, it's just another form of dopamine. It's another form of addiction. Same as drinking. As soon as I discovered beer, I was like, fucking, that's me, mate. That's me, done. Then I discovered cocaine and I was like, another level, brother. I'm done. Do you know what I mean? I'm happy. And, and it was the same. I'm an addict, mate. I'm an addict to social media, to work, to business, to drugs, drink.
Mad.
It's about managing it and focusing your addiction into positive things.
For sure, yeah. So you're 15 years old, mum's gone, you're on your own. What happens in that period between 15 to becoming the character Dapper Laughs?
I was always driven, so I just needed to sink my head into being driven. And at the time, it was making money. So, I quickly worked out that the more money that I earned, the better and easier my life was going to become. So I'd done everything I could to make money. And while I was going to college, and I wanted to be an actor, so I was doing acting and performing arts. But I auditioned for everything from Grange Hill to fucking EastEnders and everything. And I worked out pretty quick that acting wasn't, I couldn't survive on acting. I became a salesman. I was always good at sales, car sales. Worked for Toyota. I worked for a variety of estate agents. I really sunk my teeth into being an estate agent, showing people around houses and stuff like that. And then I got to about 18, and I had a company car, and I was making what was good money at the time. And I suddenly realised that this was me. That I was 18, right? And I was like, this is going to be me. This is sweet, but this is going to be me if I don't fucking do something now. But I had the predicament of having to live on my own, pay rent and all of that stuff. So I just started trying to work out a way that I could perform and entertain and make money. And I found a job over in Cyprus doing hotel entertainment. So they put me up in the hotel, and I'd call a bingo, do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like karaoke, and they'd set me up, and all my money was mine. I could eat in the hotel, and it was perfect. It was just 6 months, so over the summer or however long. Yeah. And I just thought, fuck it, this is me. This is my last crack at fucking seeing if I'm meant to do comedy or be an entertainer or what. And that was the start of my journey, mate. I went over there and fucking thrived. Do you know what I mean? Within a couple of months, I had my own stand-up show because I was putting it all together. And I got spotted there by someone that ran the entertainment on cruise ships. Chance someone was in the audience that ran the entertainment on a cruise line, a small British cruise liner, and they were just setting off at the end of the season for 2 round-the-world cruises, the world twice, like 6 months away at sea, like different ports, and they come back and audition. It was like 40 people auditioning for the role of the host on the cruise ship. So it's called assistant cruise director. So hosting all the game shows, introducing the big acts, and then doing a show. And I got it. I went back and auditioned, and I got that. And then for 4 or 5 years, I was till I was about 26 or something. I was traveling the world as a professional stand-up comedian on cruise ships. I thought I'd made it.
So that's fucking wicked.
Yeah.
And that period, You're drinking, but like just drinking as a normal dude, a few beers here and there, right?
I'd never drank normally. I always drank to get. My interest was never. I could never sit in the crew bar and have a few drinks. It was drinks, shots, and we get fucked. Like, I never drank normally. But I never saw that as an issue. I was just so excited about drinking. Do you know what I mean?
I've always been a bit like that. I've never been the guy that could do 2 pints after work every day.
No.
If I'm drinking to get pissed, or I'm not drinking.
But
so most of the time I don't drink.
Yeah, I never saw that as I never saw that as a problem up until my first stint trying to go sober. I never saw that level of drinking as a problem. But I was already drinking anyway before I went on the cruise ships. I was drinking.
Sure.
I started drinking from like 14, 15 years old. At the weekend, it was everything. But on the cruise ships, it was heavy drinking.
Where do you get all that confidence, though, bro? If you think of like that childhood, most people would go inwards. To be a host on a cruise ship, to do the hotel entertainment piece, you got to have some balls to do that stuff, like to stand up in front of people.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that confidence from?
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you said to your daughters now, go and stand in front of everyone.
Do you know what? The weird thing is there's two ways of looking at it. It's either extreme confidence or it's extreme insecurity.
Got
Do you know what I mean? Like, so for me, the fear of not being noticed comes. This is what I believe.
That's deep.
It's the fear of not being noticed by. And if you really want me to get deep, it's like Christmas would come, and when I was a kid, and I wouldn't be able to see my dad. Do you know what I mean? Or there'd be an argument. There was always this fear of not having my mum or not seeing my dad, or fear of not being noticed. And I think that the fear of not being noticed is turned. It's turned into a fear of, right, I have to be noticed by everyone. But not just that, my passion was for performing, right? So for me, I'll tell you what it is as well. There's that, but also just the pure thought of being a comedian, a stand-up comedian, right? Whether I was good at it or bad at it, the fact that I could say I was a stand-up comedian was enough for me.
Yeah.
So even from a young age, when I first tried stand-up, and I first tried stand-up really young, before I went on the cruise ships or anything like that, I must have been about 17, 18. Even when I was dying on my fucking arse, I was still going, yeah, but I'm a comedian. So I never give a fuck. It's weird.
That is mad. And then obviously I remember you blowing up as Dapper Laughs.
Yeah.
Said to you in the car. I think we even had you as a Monday night PA at the club. You were fucking flying around doing those, weren't you?
Yeah, rinsing it for everything it was worth, yeah.
On the pool, just looking here, Celebrity Big Brother. Fucking, you've done a bit.
Yeah.
You've done a bit. When you look back at all that now, I know you said about the proper moist thing makes you cringe, but there's some good achievements in amongst all that. You proud of yourself?
Yeah, I am now. It's all sort of tainted with a lot of. It's hard for me to decipher what's good and what's bad, because the media managed to really even manipulate me into thinking that I was a bad person. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's hard. I mean, look, I should look back and I was one of the first people to get 1 million followers on Facebook. You know what I mean? But that was I was when I was blowing up on Vine and doing Facebook and making a video. There wasn't influencers. Do you know what I mean?
No, I remember.
No one was doing comedy online. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So
I remember.
I was like one of the, if not the first. Do you know what I mean? But I never look back on them things. I don't look back on them enough as achievements, but I should.
You definitely should. Man.
Yeah.
You definitely should. And I guess the whole thing about kind of being a bit numb through those periods as well with your drink and drugs and all that stuff, it's probably hard to decipher what was what.
Yeah, the first years, I mean, they actually, do you know what? I'd love to find it. ITV done a mock, and again, a lot of this is a blur to me, but ITV, even though I got cancelled from ITV, they had one of their producers and another comedian, they'd done like a mock show, taking the piss out of me, like a caricature taking the piss out of me, doing my Dapper Laughs on the pool show. And it was a character, and it was on ITV, I couldn't fucking believe it. And there's a character going, yeah, I'll go and chat up that bird, but I need my magic potion juice, because I was drinking when I was shooting the show, right? And I used to say to him, give us a shot of tequila, to get my... But when I look back on it now, I was in full-blown addiction, like even all the way back in 2014. And everyone around was just going, yeah, give him some drinks, it'll make him perform better, you know. So a lot of it is a blur, man. Like the level of, I mean, it fucking went from 0 to You know, 1 minute I was an estate agent because I come back off the cruise ships and I started up my own business, and so I opened my own estate agency and I was doing all the videos, the Vines.
That's sick.
Because I was doing stand up comedy, but then I discovered Vine. And I was like, I can do it right now, and I started collecting followers. And then the next minute I had 1 million. Then the next, like, my videos were going everywhere. And then the next minute I was on TV. It was like, and then the next minute I was doing like the personal appearances. People were queuing up for selfies. It was like what the fuck? Yeah, it was. But it's all a blur to me because I drank the whole way through it.
Did you have anyone around you in that period? Any like solid anchor of a person? Because obviously your dad's not around, your mum's not around.
My dad was around, but I mean, my dad was in Guernsey, so I didn't see him a lot. But we'd speak. My mum was in Cornwall. My friends were there when I wanted to drink and use drugs.
Sounds quite like to be lonely.
Yeah, and my manager was, I think, well in tune with the fact that it could be an overnight thing. So was just working the absolute bollocks off me. So and then,
which isn't unusual in that industry.
No, they fucking absolutely.
You hear,
they use you
of all sorts. Of
I don't mind saying it. You know, there's, you know, fucking. If I knew what I knew now, do you know what I mean? I'd be a lot richer and probably a lot happier. But no, in a word, no. I didn't. I'd go back to my house after on my own or with a bird. Do you know what I mean? Or
it feels like it's all a lot of quick, like as you said, dopamine hits. There was no like stability in amongst it, was there? Really, no. It's like a rock and roll lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, there's no surprise that I said some controversial stuff throughout because majority I was riding a wave and I was drunk most of the time.
Talking of that, I've got here the 2014 the joke on stage about rape. Ended up getting the ITV show axed. I mean, when you've looked back at those jokes and tweets and things that you did controversial, looking back now, or at the time, did you think you'd taken it too far?
At the time?
Yeah.
No, of course not. At the time, I was purposely pushing the boundaries because it was what was making me popular. You know, controversy. You know, let's have it right, man. Like, what people don't seem to, you know, everyone's like, oh my God, he's awful. I'm awful now. But, you know, it's like, look at Russell Brand. He's awful now, but they were promoting him being a fucking, a womanizer and shagger of the year and all of that.
For the last decade.
Yeah, and his inappropriate behaviour, if it was that on TV and stuff like that. But now, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I was pushing the boundaries purposely because, you know, if you go and do normal fucking vanilla stuff, you know, no one's, put it this way, if I said something and you liked it, you'd interact with it. If I said something and you didn't like it, you interact with it even more. Like, I worked out very quick how I'm like a social media guru. You know, on Facebook, even if you're writing, you fucking horrible bastard, everyone will see it on your Facebook because you've commented on it back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. So at the time, I thought that people understood it was comedy, understood that Dapper Laughs as a character was like an exaggerated version of lad culture. And Dapper Laughs always lost, right? He was a twat. He was, you know, who goes around going, proper moist, she knows. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, have you seen this guy?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's like Addy G, right?
Of course.
You're meant to be people, and majority of people were like, fucking hell, that is funny, because that is what lads are like. They're proper twats. But
isn't that comedy though, that pushing the boundary as a whole, as an industry? And I don't, you know, not condoning anything right or wrong, but a lot of what comedians do and what you do and what you were saying is what most of us were thinking, but maybe didn't have the courage to say out loud or to say into our social media platforms.
Yeah, but it's not even as deep as that. To me, it's not even as deep as that.
Got you.
It's just like shocking. And it's funny because it's shocking. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying something. I'm starting saying, to me, comedy is very simple. I start saying something and you think it's going that way, and then I take it that way and you laugh because it's shocking. I shouldn't have said it. It's not that fucking, like there was one joke that was on, that they brought up on Newsnight and stuff like that, where it's simply wordplay. So, you know, it's not even that deep. Like I'm trying to break boundaries and stuff like that. I was just trying to find like formulas of making jokes, like one word that has two meanings, you know, and start a sentence with that. And it was based around lad culture. It was like a formula. Yeah. You know, like there was one I did where a video with an actress, by the way, a video where I'm like, excuse me, sweetheart, can I smell your fanny? And she's like, no, you can't. And I'm like, well, it must be your feet then. Like, it's stupid, yeah? But to the journalists and to everyone out there that's sort of banging a sexism, he's misogynistic drum, they're like, look, that's sexual harassment. He's walking up to women in the street and he's asking to smell their fanny. Well, no, it's an actress. Well, all right then. Well, you're encouraging other men to, because men are thick and they won't understand that's a joke. So as you can tell, it riles me up. And at the time, it was making me angry. So because I'm like, and plus my manager and at ITV, everyone's going, yeah, push the boundaries, man. It's good. It's good for growth. But not just that. It's like, I know what you're doing. You're like scapegoating me a little bit. But saying that, there are some bits that I look back at and I'm like, I wouldn't say it now, especially now that I'm a dad of 2 daughters. There are bits. Do you know what I mean? Because although, and this is where you've got to take, and this is part of my sobriety as well, and as men, something that we don't do, there's no way you can be free of things that have happened to you in your past unless you take a certain amount of accountability to them. And the truth of the matter is, I was influencing millions of lads, right? And she knows proper moist and all that. Although that's a joke in my eyes, if my daughter was walking down the street now and some lad was like, look at her, she's proper moist, she knows, I'd fucking flip.
Yeah.
So
I would as well, I don't even have a daughter.
So 10 years ago, in a word, I was a twat. But 10 years ago, did you say stuff? You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah, I was an immature twat, and that's what I found funny. And we grow.
That's life, though, isn't it? That journey.
That's life in the real world, but in the media, in TV, you can't be forgiven for that. You can't be forgiven for things you said 10 years ago. There's some stuff that I will never be allowed to do on TV. Some things that I will always be, because in some people's eyes, some journalists and other people's eyes out there, what I said 10 years ago, that stands for who I am forever.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. Do you know what I mean? Like 10 years ago, I didn't have a wife, 2 kids.
It's almost like they've never had a past, these people.
Yeah, of course. It's hard, but as you can see, I'm in split minds because part of me looks back and goes, that was some funny shit. But part of me also looks back and goes, you have to take some accountability. But another part of me then looks back and goes, but it was comedy. And then another part's like, you're just being a twat. It's hard. I'm in a battle.
You wouldn't be who you were
if
you hadn't been through that.
I'm in a battle. Like, no one can sit here and say that they've learned, to change as a person. Because, you can say whatever you want. The truth is, you look back over your life and you're like, I don't know. What have I taken from it? And that all I can do now is use my platform for comedy and some good. Do you know what I mean?
Your past is always a bit of a blur anyway, isn't it? For anyone.
Yeah.
But when you think like 5 years ago or longer, even me thinking about it now, and let's say I wasn't under the influence like you at the time, it's still a blur.
Yeah.
I can't remember every detail or what I was thinking at the time.
And your mindset's different. What was important to you then isn't important.
Values have changed.
Well, listen, back then, what was important to me then was becoming famous. And
Getting laid.
I don't mind saying it, yeah, becoming famous, shagging girls and making money.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, fucking, it's happening. I've got to keep pushing and pushing. Now what's important to me is staying out of trouble, out of the media. I just don't want it because I've got kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I still push the boundaries, but nowhere near as much as I used to. But not because of like before I wanted to be in the papers and everything. Now I'm very conscious that my kids are going to see things and security for the family.
Do you wish Dapper Laughs never existed?
No. Makes a great story, doesn't it? I wouldn't be sat here on this podcast unless I've made all that mess of things. And it's a fucking look. It's part of cancel culture history. I don't want to say history, but it's It's a part of cancel culture history. It's part of a fucking massive journey, man.
Where does it work with that kind of when you have a comedian or a person that has like almost like an alter ego, right? So there's you, Daniel O'Reilly, and then there's this character Dapper Laughs. It reminds me of the film The Mask. Where does those lines get blurred? Because they must get blurred. At what point do you think, yeah, but I didn't say that. That was Dapper Laughs, and that's his character.
Yeah,
as in your own head as an scapegoat.
I used to say that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I used to say that. I used to use that as an excuse. Do you know what I mean? I used to say, I even said it a minute ago. It's like Ali G. But the truth of it is I've got many characters. I've got like Kid Frankie. I've got the Sesh Gremlin. The Sesh Gremlin represents my addiction. Do you know what I mean? It's the voice of my addiction. I've got Kid Frankie, which is like my youth, and all of these characters. I had Squadron Leader, Jim and Steve. There's loads of them, and they've all created their own little fan bases as well. But they all stem from a part of me, right? Like Dapper Laughs, like I said, it was an exaggerated version of me. And now I'm a father. My content's based around that. Now that I'm sober, my content's based around my addiction.
Yeah.
But it was like, I'll get away with a little bit more because it isn't actually me saying it. Of course it was.
I mean, the lad culture thing, I think it's changed a bit, if I'm honest, from when we were younger. if I'm honest. So you're only a couple of years older than me, I think. It was a lot. I feel like it was a lot bigger then. I feel like, or maybe I'm getting older and I'm not noticing it much. That kind of lad culture thing. You've got 2 daughters now, right? So must be a whole different dynamic in your mind now, thinking how you acted, and you said that a minute ago. But these girls are going to grow up.
I think they're growing up in a better world now to when I was younger.
I think so too. That's kind of what I meant about the lad culture thing. But they're going to grow up at some point, and what's it like knowing what a guy's mind works like?
Don't ask me that.
Like, I'm going to have kids one day, and hopefully I'll be blessed to have a beautiful daughter. But I just think of what a fucking shithouse I was myself at 17, 18, 19, 20.
I think I've thought about this a lot. You know, I've got 2 daughters, right? And I come from a group of lads that spent years running around trying to shag birds, right? I built a persona and I had a TV show about it. Do you know what I mean? You're talking to the right person.
Yeah,
here.
Of course.
But the best way that I get my head around it is like, you know, there's a certain certain dad that I want to be. Yeah, I don't want to be a dad that's like, don't wear that and don't do this and don't do that. You know, I don't want to, I don't want to be a possessive father. But I think I have a responsibility to tell the truth to my daughters about what men are like, and then let them go and make their own mistakes, man. Like, you know, same with drinking drugs and things like that, you know. I think the harder that as parents that we push our own morals and standards and things on our children, the harder they'll push back. And one thing for sure is, if anything ever happens to my daughters, I want them to be able to tell me without like repercussions, you know what I mean? If something bad has happened, I don't want them to tell me thinking I'm going to blame them for it, for putting themselves in that position. I want them to be able to talk to me and go, this has happened, Dad, da 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 da, and not think I'm going to snap. So my parenting will be, these are the facts, this is what men are after, this is what life, this is what drink does to you, this is what alcohol done to me, this is da 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 da. Go out, do your thing. I'm here for questions.
Yeah, do your thing. Yeah, it's important. That you said earlier on about your dad being quite like tough and cold with you a bit in a way. Are you quite loving with your daughters, or are you quite?
My dad, I think you misinterpreted that. My dad wasn't tough and cold with me. My dad was a violent man when he was younger.
Got you, fine.
Yeah, but with me, he
still showed love, affection.
Yeah, my dad loved me. And he's like, my old man in his later years was filled full of regret. But he loved me and he wanted to see me and everything like that. But I'm super affectionate with my daughters. I mean, even this morning, my wife was just like, "What you doing?" Because I was coming away for a night because I'm coming up here. I called them both in. I said, "Girls, come in here. I want to talk to you." And I got them both to stand in front of me. And one of them's like 4 years old. She's like that big. And they're 5 and 7 at Christmas, so they're about that big. And I just had them stood in front of me. I'm like, look, Daddy loves you. I want you to know that Daddy loves you. And the little one was like, why? What's happening? I'm like, no, I'm just telling you, Daddy loves you. You're my little princesses. Come here. I'll give them a cuddle and a kiss. And then I'm like, tickling them and that. And they're like, get off. So I'm very much like, I tell them, I'm quite aware that I think that's important. The daddies, you know, so I tell them I love you, you're beautiful, you're my little babies, and I'm all over them. Yeah,
I think it's very important with kids, very important. I was pretty fortunate with my parents. Like I said to you in the car, we didn't have a lot in terms of possessions or money, but there was a lot of unconditional love there, like real love. Yeah, I grew up with that, and I feel so blessed for it, especially in the Western world, man.
I mean, look, we got to remember as well, like, I probably painted my mum and dad in a bad way a little bit, because they had a destructive marriage, and you know, it was an horrific divorce that went on for years, and there was loads of horrible stuff. But my mum and dad were like my age right now, so they're just human beings that fell out of love or were in a toxic relationship, whatever. But individually, to me, my mum was amazing. She's made her mistakes in her life, just like I have. Like, you know what I mean? So I have love from both of them. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's no reflection on you, right? That was their relationship. You just happen to be there to visually see it.
Yeah.
It's tough, mate. Times change as well. Like, you openly say, bro, that you're a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I am. I've done a lot of work with this as a therapist.
Really?
Like a bit of like a yes man kind of thing. I want to please people. I want to do things. Like, how does that? I've now discovered after doing loads of work that it's actually a negative thing. Because I always just think that I'm being really nice to people, really kind to people, but I'm damaging myself. Do you find it affects you or affected you?
Yeah, I've never had any boundaries. Never had any boundaries with people. Only through my sobriety, and I'm talking up until the last 6 weeks to maybe 2 months, have I had the ability to say, do you know what? You can fuck off now.
Really?
I've had enough. In my whole life.
As recent as that?
Yeah. I honestly I've let people over and over again show me firsthand that they ain't really friends, or they're disrespectful, or they fuck me for money, or fuck me for this and done this, or just rude, or even family, right? Family's the tough one, you know?
Toughest.
When people in your family are treating you like shit or using you or whatever. And for me, I've got a lot to offer people, especially if you're in the industry and you do, if you want followers, or you want fucking your business promoted, or you want something, mate, I've got a massive marketing fucking machine. So it's very difficult. I used to think, oh my God, they like me. And yeah, and I'd please. So yeah.
What work have you done to kind of put that boundary in place?
Self-love. So
I still struggle sometimes with certain people to put that boundary in place.
It's about self-love and well-being and working on your own mental strength. You know, I do deep, hard, constant work daily. You know, my getting my mindset into a correct place is, but look, through my strength now, I don't need any, I really don't. It's about just being sat comfortable with myself and being like, I like this, man. I like life. You know, for the first time in my life, I really enjoy my life. I like life. I like me. So whereas before I used to be like, oh, if you're in my life, then my life's going to be better, and you're going to be my friend, and look how many friends I've got, and this is good, and that business will be good for me. That business will be good for me. Not realizing how much stress and other people's shit you're taking on. Now I'm just like, this is nice, man. I'm good. Like me, what I've got now, my 2 daughters and my wife, if that's it for me, that's good. In fact, I don't want anything else to fuck it. So if you're not serving my mental well-being, you're fucking out now.
So important. I think a lot of that comes from, funnily enough, social media, right? The comparison piece as well. You're looking at what other people's lives are like, and which is largely an illusion, right? Because they're posting the best bits. I think of myself like, I never post the times I've got my head in my hands at home. I'm posting the times when I'm had a massive event and it's going off, and that's sold out and this is sold out. So some poor fucker sat at home, probably watching that and going, well, he's having it off all the time. He's always happy. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
It's not true.
Like a year ago, you know, because I'm coming up to a year sober, I hit another rock bottom, like a really, really bad rock bottom, like really bad. You know, lost my missus, and I was kicked out, and you know, it was my marriage had only just started. We've only been married a year, you know, just over a year. So we just got married, and you know, I really fucked it up with drinking and the drugs, and then I couldn't see my kids for the first time in my life, you know. And suddenly I went from thinking that I was this great dad, great partner, and, you know, making loads of money, and everything was back on track, to being sat like around my grandma and granddad. They'd both passed away, my grandma and granddad, through COVID, but I was in their empty house because I was kicked out, and sat there like, oh my God, I've got a fucking drug problem and a drink problem, and now I can't go home, and my wife don't want nothing to do with me. And it was fucking mad. It was like, it just happened, you know. And I'd gone sober before, and then I thought I'd be all right. And then when I come out of it, and the way it accelerated when I started drinking through Christmas, and I couldn't stop. I mean, I could stop, but like for a couple of days, and it would go and go and go. Like the panic in me, like not seeing it all fall apart, but not really taking notice, and then suddenly it all being gone. When I got out of that and I started my sobriety with my social media, it's like I'm showing everything. I'm going to talk about all of it, because there's so many lads out there, especially I think, that must be going through what I'm going through, destroying their fucking lives and not even fucking seeing it. And it's cost me followers, you know what I mean? People I'm following, and because I built my whole career on talking about the sesh and drinking and fucking drugs and that. But purely for what you're saying, one day I posting pictures of my fucking McLaren and stuff like that in my house. Fantastic. A bit of a dickhead, but I'm going to show off every now and then. I mean, I've sold it now. I was telling you on the way here. I'm shit, like just trying to, you know, but and my comedy and my tours selling out and all of that shit. But I'll also post, mate, this is how dark it was, or today I can't handle shit, or da-da-da-da-da, to show that, you know, like, whatever you're going through, like there isn't another world that you ain't in. This is just my fucking social media celebrity thing that I'm painting, when the truth is behind closed doors. We're all fucked up.
I remember one of your videos, actually, I think it was on TikTok. I'd saved it. You know, you can save on TikTok. I saved it and posted it on my Instagram. It was you walking, it was lockdown 1 or 2, I think, and you walking with your hood up, a hoodie on, talking to guys basically, saying, look, it's tough at the moment. It was a really raw video. I remember real resonated with me. Some of the content there I think is really good. I enjoy thought-provoking content. I actually enjoy it. My missus always goes, you always listen to really sad shit, you know, like on TikTok. I'm like, but it makes me think. It like grounds me a little bit. Because if I'm always watching the good stuff, it's not real.
Yeah, because the truth is we're all in our own heads constantly, right? We don't ever think we're doing well, you know. I'm halfway through selling my tour out, a tour that I haven't had given the chance of doing 10 years. It's taken me 10 years to get back on tour. I should be like really, really happy. And I'm a year sober and I've got 2 beautiful kids. But 60% of the time I'm in my head going, this ain't enough, you ain't doing well enough, this is
Self-doubt.
shit. Self-doubt, right? And we're all there. And I realise that now. I realise that there's a voice in our heads that's pulling us down. So whenever I'm out of it and in the right position, I think of people that feel like me and I try and talk to them. And it's as simple as that. I'm like, right, listen, this is...
You've been there, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm in and out of there. And I just feel like if you're scrolling like you do, you're scrolling, you go, oh, there's that dickhead that's fucking, oh, right. Oh, yeah, I feel like that. Oh, but you do that and it makes you feel better. And I'm not on my own. I know it's like a cliche, but it shares, you know?
It is true. I read in an article, bro, you said something along the lines of, only drink and drugs seemed to do the trick, and I just went deeper into despair and considered taking my life. It was a very tricky 2 or 3 years. Do you remember saying that?
Yeah.
Was that the period you're talking about with the wife and the kids?
That was when my father died. My father passed away around the same time that I lost my TV show, and I got cancelled. So I was drinking, right? But like sociably and like just getting on the smash, but still drinking hard. But I wasn't drinking on my own, really. I was drinking out, I was still getting annihilated. And I've been using coke since I was a teenager. But lost the house, lost the money. I was getting sued, lost the TV show. Like, it was bad, right? It was like bad. It was like touch and go, like just what was going on in my life. So I was drinking heavier, but I was still like drinking with people. And then when my dad died, I just fucking went, fuck it. I was just like, like, I ain't even trying no more. It was like, so first of all, I don't know who I was talking to, whether it's the universe. I'm not really religious, but I was just saying it. I was like, so first you do that to me, and now you're fucking, because my old man was really the only person when that was going on that kind of had the right attitude. He was like, who the fuck gave you a TV show in the first place, mate? You smashed it. Do you know what I mean? Where everyone else was like, oh, mate, you're all right. Like, fucking hell, that's embarrassing. You know, you're never going to work again. Where he was just like, fucking, look how much you made and da-da-da. So he was my voice of reason. So when he died the way he did, he had a stroke, and I managed to speak to him before he went, but it was hard. I had to decide to turn the machine off as well because my stepmom and my brother, they couldn't. They were just they were gone, you know. And me and my brother didn't speak since then. We've only just started speaking recently now, actually, like 5, 6, 7 years later, whatever it is. So I had to make that decision. And it was almost instantly, as soon as he died, I went to the petrol station. I got a big bottle of fucking red wine, and I necked the whole lot. And from that point, you know, I was taking my mum's, stepmom's fucking antidepressants. I don't even know what they were, like just pills. I was just taking them. And cocaine. I was just gone. And a couple of days after my dad died, my wife told me she was pregnant, and she was told that we were told we'd never have kids because she got polycystic ovaries. It was just too much. Everything was just too much. And I ended up running away and, you know, saying to her that I didn't want to have, one of the biggest regrets of my life, saying I didn't want to have the baby. I didn't want to have anything to do with her. You know, I kind of checked out. I was like, I worked out what I had left in the bank, how long that would last me, what I could spend it on. And then I just had this thought that, you know, it was just too much. It was just like, everything was perfect. And then everything that you could conceive to go wrong went wrong. And I ended up living above my dealer in my coke dealer's fucking house. You know, in 2014. But bearing in mind that I still have millions of followers, and the fucking paps were still trying to fucking take pictures of me, and I was still in the news. I was still on Channel 4. They were still talking about me, you know, because systematically, as everything fell, they were still doing articles. And one night I was just beside myself, high, you know, session on my own. And I just couldn't take it anymore. And I was thinking about committing suicide. And he had white carpet. He just had new white carpet put in, and I was going to cut my wrists, but I didn't want to ruin his carpet. And that's how mad it is. You know, I was like, I'll cut my wrist. And I was like, well, I don't want to ruin his carpet. And then I suddenly thought, what the fuck are you talking about? And I rang the Samaritans off my nut.
Did you?
I did, yeah.
Mate, fucking huge respect. That's heavy shit.
I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because I couldn't talk to Shelley because I'd just fucked it. And my father was dead. My mum, I just couldn't worry her. I just, my mum didn't even know that I was using drugs, do you know what I mean, at the time, to the rate I was. And you ain't going to talk to your mates, are you? I hadn't spoken to my mates really since my dad had died. I was out. I was like, I'll see them when I'm all right. You know what I mean? Or I'll go and sesh with them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So I needed to speak to someone, so I rang them.
Do you know what I found really interesting, mate? Well, firstly, fair play for sharing that, by the way, is even in the depths of despair, when you're considering the ultimate, like taking your life, you're still considerate of everyone else.
It's weird, isn't it?
And you're still people-pleasing.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Think about what you're saying there. You're ready to take your life. You've given everything up, like it's made my hair stand up, but you don't want to make your mate's carpet dirty.
Wow,
you don't want to ring your mum because you don't want to upset her.
Yeah.
But you need help.
Yeah. That's the problem with us men, you know. Whereas being dead would have hurt everyone even more. It's tough, man. That's why I created this.
You're unique though, bro, because to be able to ring for help when you're in that position is some fucking strength.
Yeah,
I've had mates ring me in similar positions.
Yeah,
but they won't ring a helpline.
I think.
If someone's listening to this now, coming towards the edge of that cliff that you were stood on, you know what can you say to them? What were you saying in your own head to not?
Your mind's full, man. That's what it is.
It's overwhelming. I'd
Your
imagine.
mind's full. We can only, as a species, as animals, you know, we're not designed for this level of fucking, what's the word? Stimulation, mate. You know, we're not designed for this level of stress. We're not. You know, this isn't. We're meant to be chasing fucking animals,
cows,
whatever, and fucking. Do you know what I mean?
Or broccoli if you're a vegan.
Yeah, whatever. But when your mind's full, you got to empty it. It's as simple as that. And the reason why you feel like you can't cope is because it's full up. It's just as simple as that. That's the simplest way I can put it. If you're sat there now feeling like you can't handle it and you can't cope and there's no answers, it's because you've kept everything inside. You've got to give it to someone else. And there's people out there. I mean, I've got a mental health group that I created on Facebook called Men and Their Emotions.
I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And that's where that was born, right? Because you can anonymously just empty your mind. And then the beautiful thing about it is if you just watch, you can see that you're not alone, that everyone's going through the same stuff. Or if you've been through it and got out the other side.
Quite heavy sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And it's one of my greatest achievements. Over that group with 40,000 people is worth more to me than 800,000 people on my Instagram. I could lose my Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, and that group to me is worth more than my stand-up comedy tour. I truly believe, honestly, it's honestly changing lives. It's saving lives, because there's people in there that want to commit suicide, and we pass them to the crisis teams, and then they come back in and they're like, thank you, you know. And that's the concept. It's really as simple as that. When it's too much for you just got to share it. Deep stuff, man.
It is fucking heavy, mate. I was just thinking then, but I own a nightclub, right? You actually own a nightclub as well, right?
No, I still got it. Yeah.
And I'm around alcohol a lot, and I'm obviously around drugs a lot. At what point do you think it goes from having a bit of fun and having a drink with mates to being a problem? Like, what do you think, if you're talking out to someone, is that marker where you think, fuck, I need to do something about this?
It's when you use it to cope. It's when you don't, it's when you use it to cope. That's the problem, right? So we all drink sociably, and I'd never tell anyone not to, because I enjoyed it. But there's a fine line between, like, you know what, I'm going out and I'm having a good time and I'm going to have a few drinks because the lads are together, to, the sun's out, I'm going to have a few drinks, to, there's no work tomorrow, so I'm going to have a few drinks, to, that day has fucking pissed me off, so I'm having a drink, right? And that's how it starts, which is great, because it does actually numb you, right? It's like a sedative, but it's it's also a depressant, right? So it numbs you, so it takes the edge off. But if you get into the habit of using it every time something goes wrong in your life, like just a stressful week is fine. That's all right. If you had a stressful week and you have a few drinks, it takes the edge off, that's fine, especially if you work manual labour. But if you're using it and then you're using the packet as well, I need to release, and it goes from using it to take the edge off to escaping your stress. When big things happen in life to you that are bad, like your dad dying or losing your fucking career, and your coping mechanism is the very thing that can destroy you, and then you can't get out of that loop, that's addiction. You're fucked. So what I'd say to anyone right now that doesn't think they've got a problem but is using drink and drugs as a way to cope with life, you're all right now. But if something bad happens to you in your life, it could kill you.
So they almost don't realise that they're kind of dependent on it.
Yeah, you're
Till
dependent.
Bad.
Yeah, and not just that. You're using something that makes you feel worse. Something that makes you feel worse has tricked you into believing it makes you feel better.
Wow.
So you think cocaine? I fucking loved it. I'd be like, fucking bad week, I'm sniffing a gram and getting smashed with my mates. Good week, I'm sniffing a gram and getting smashed with my mates. Yeah, but what I didn't realise is, good or bad, it's making me feel worse. So if the very thing that you're using to cope with life is making your life worse, then you're fucked, right? And right now you might only be doing it because, you know, it's been a stressful week or you're bored or whatever. But when something big happens to you and then you get into it heavy, trust me, right? When I went sober, I didn't think I had a problem because I was session every weekend. But the last, you know, like I said, I went sober just to please my missus because she was like, you're out session and drinking all the time. When I said, I'll be all right, I'll come back, I honestly said to myself, because it was Christmas, I'm just going to drink, man. Like, I'm just going to get pissed every now and then. And that was like, I got pissed. Then I got pissed a couple of days later. And then within a week, I was back on the packet. And then I was back on the packet, doing the packet more or less every time I drank. Like that. It was fucking mental. And then when she said, and everyone around me was going, mate, what the fuck has happened to you? You've got a problem. You're like, I know. I better consume as much of it as I can till I got to stop again. It's mad.
That is mad. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah. That's addiction.
The younger generation now, especially the students this year, freshers I've noticed, it's changed a bit. That
they don't drink as heavy.
Yeah, they're not drinking, mate.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, I had a conversation with someone quite high up at the university and he was saying, you know, nighttime economy is quite tough anyway, as you probably know if you're in that industry, especially down here. And he was like, you must be having a tough time, Ty. I said, why? He said, well, because I speak to the freshers now, the students. He said, and I used to speak to them on a Monday and say, how was your weekend? And they'd say something along the lines of, yeah, really good, got on a session, got fucked, went to Halo, went to Cameo, went to the fire station. He said, now they're saying, we went for a walk over the Jurassic Coast, had a non-alcoholic gin and had a barbecue. Now, as someone kind of similar to yourself in a sense that I'm an ambassador of Dorset Mind and I promote real healthy living, and not healthy, but good living, you know. I love it. I love that the younger generation are less into drink and drugs. But commercially, obviously, it's a bit suicidal, right? It's a disaster for us because they're not coming in and drinking. Yeah. But you've got to be happy to see that from your angle as well, right?
Yeah, I think social media has got a big part to play in that.
What, for the good, you mean?
Yeah, for the booming trends, like, you know, well-being trends, you know, and men follow women. You know what I mean? If the women were
it's been like that all of history.
Yeah, if women were out getting smashed, so are the men. If the women are into healthy well-being, then now the men are. It's as true as that.
Mate, I've never thought of that. You're right. Yeah, yoga studios are full, men are doing yoga.
You're right, yeah, mate. If all the birds you fancy are going for a walk across Jurassic Coast, you're walking. If they're sniffing gear in the kitchen till 4 a.m, you're there. Do you know what I mean? So women have always been more intelligent than men. It's just a way, you know. But I think that I think it's a boom of well-being, and yeah, I love to see it. I honestly, with misogyny and sexism and all of that stuff, I think we're in a better place. So even though I went through the shit I went through, I think it was because the world was changing. My views were probably well outdated back then, and I think that there is a better world, even though it's a bit fucking crazier. There's a better world for my daughters, and the same with the drink and drugs. You know, like when we were coming out of school, it was like
heavy, yeah.
Let's get fucked.
Yeah.
You know, who can get the booze? Who can get drugs?
We went on we do a lot of like long hikes over the Jurassic Coast, to be fair, like charity ones.
I'd love to do that stuff.
We were doing one, yeah. We'll try and get one in the morning.
Yeah.
We're doing one that was like 51k the other month. And there was 3 girls that we met on the walk. And we've got quite friendly with them. And one was like 18, one was like 21, one was like 22, right? And on a Saturday day, they got up at 5 a.m. and joined 150 of us and were doing a walk along the Jurassic Coast of 51k. And I was like, I was just amazed by it because I
wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't have been doing that.
I said to them, girls, when I was your age, this would never happen. A walk with a fucking hiker's backpack on. Be the people we're taking a piss out of. You'd have been still up from the night before.
But also social media has to play in that as well, because what are they doing when they're out there taking pictures
Loads.
and videos?
Oh, they're non-stop.
Yeah, look at me. I'm walking. Not fact. Do you know what I mean? So it's a weird dynamic.
It's quite a positive side of it, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, mate, I wish I'd learned in the last year. I mean, it's true what they say. You stop sniffing lines, you start climbing mountains. It's weird that in the last year I've
actually never heard that, but that's wicked.
What is it? Yeah, it's like get off the beak and you start climbing peaks. It's all they got out of the kitchen. Like, there's loads of them, and I used to say the same thing, you know. But like, what did I do? I think I've done Ben Nevis, or something like that.
I've done the 3 peaks.
And I've done half marathon, Tough Mudder, and I box every day.
I see that on your socials.
4:30, I'm up, and then
4:30 a.m. you get up
every day, Monday to Saturday. Sunday I'm 5-6 because my missus is like, don't get out of this fucking bed. But honestly, it's like, but now it's my routine. I don't even set an alarm, mate. It's 4:30, I'm up. Yeah. It's mental, but I box every day. And I'm starting to get all right at boxing. I enjoy it. It's really difficult. But for me, it's mental resilience. 1, getting out of bed. 2, getting sparring. You know what I mean? It's scary shit. And it makes my sobriety easy. You know what I mean? If I can do that, and I get up on stage in front of thousands of people, and I do the ice baths, then not picking up a beer and sniffing a line, that's a piece of piss. So it's building mental resilience, right? But there's so much I've learned now. I'm happy. I'm so happy. I'm not happy, and I've never been happy. I've always been, oh, what's next? Fucking, I'm not sure. Like, I'm happy now. I'm just like, to me, happiness is peace.
I mean, it's been a year on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So what's deeply in your routine now that's helping you stay sober? You've said, so you're running, you're training, you're doing your ice baths, you're getting up early, you're eating well-ish?
I can't eat well. I've never been good at it. I've never been good at it. I can't, because 1, I'm too lazy to cook, and my schedule's fucking mental. So I try and eat well, but I get Nando's. But I mean,
still relatively well.
Yeah, I try and eat well, but I still eat chocolate. It's like my one last fucking thing. You know what I mean?
I love chocolate.
I love chocolate. I can't, like, I've said this before. My missus, I've got a pack of hobnobs in my bedside drawer. And in
your bedside drawer?
I don't give a shit.
Rate that.
And I if we've turned the TV off, whatever we're watching, and she's trying to go to sleep, and she'd be like, you having a fucking hobnob? And I'm like, well, fucking better than a pack of gear in it. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, let the fucking man, it's better me having a couple of these than being downstairs sniffing a line and wanking myself silly, babe. Just fucking, you know, and she's got no, my diet's not good, but the only other thing that is really part of my routine is managing my thoughts. That's what my whole life is about now. Managing my thoughts.
How are you doing that? What are you doing for that? Is there are you journaling? Are you meditating? Are you spending 10 minutes a day are you checking yourself?
Not really. I journal when things are bad. I don't daily. Like, when something's really in there, I write it out. I've got a book, so it's weird because when I read it back, it just looks like my life's a catastrophe. But it's like once every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But no, the meetings, alcohol and AA meetings,
weekly. They're weekly.
I try and go weekly, but my schedule doesn't allow it. But my counselling, I counsel. I can only counsel when I'm sober, so I'm back counselling. Out of respect, I've never gone to her when I was drinking and using, but counselling is a big one for me. But really, it's work on understanding my thoughts, and through my work, really. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it. It's understanding my triggers and my thoughts, and just being aware of negative thought patterns. Do you know what I mean? And trying to move out of them. It's being self-conscious.
Yeah.
Being present. Do you know what I mean?
So hard, that present thing.
But sobriety, that's what sobriety is, right? Sobriety is so hard because as soon as anything bad would come up, you know, you've had a stressful week, it's getting to Friday, your missus has pissed you off, instead of sitting with it, you can instantly escape it with drink. And that's been the last 20 years of my life, mate. 22 years of my life. As soon as something got slightly uncomfortable for me to sit with, career's fucked, drink, drugs. Missus is pissing me off, drink, drugs. Stress, someone owes me money, drink drugs. Sobriety, that's why so many people can't go sober, because as soon as you got to sit with something, then all of the shit you've done wrong starts coming back to you, the shame and the guilt. So now sitting with uncomfortable feelings, that's the work. That's what they call the work. Sitting with it and going, yeah, you're overthinking that. Stop. And really being in your head in a positive way.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, of course. I miss the escapism of it. I miss not being able to check out of life for an hours. But I don't miss the drama and the pain and the hurt.
Is there nothing you've been able to find that gives you a bit of that escapism?
Not at the level of getting annihilated for a fucking day.
What about have you ever thought of like psychedelics or anything? You ever thought about that? Mushrooms?
I don't want to.
You don't want to.
To me, sobriety, and I keep on saying sobriety like I'm some sort of fucking sobriety guru now. But to me,
like a nun.
Yeah, but to me, what it all means, it doesn't matter if it's cocaine, alcohol. What it all means is not escaping my life. Like my whole mantra now is, instead of spending the weekends escaping my life, spend the weekends building a life and a mentality that I don't want to escape.
Love that.
Do you know what I mean? So people have said that to me. Mushrooms will help you with doing that, but then it's going to change the way I'm feeling, and I'm going to escape my thoughts and my feelings. I don't want to do that. I want to become so strong and powerful that I can handle and deal with everything that's going on in my life without having to check out and be there for my kids.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. There's a lot of people around me that are kind of not on the reg, not using it as like a recreational kind of substance, but more they've done something to try and clear their head.
DMT
DMT, ayahuasca, something that's kind of got rid of.
I think it's powerful stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've not done it, mate, because I've got this fear of kind of a little bit of being in my own head without being able to escape for hours and hours.
Yeah, a Pandora's box.
Yeah, reliving like stuff I'm scared of, reliving some of the guilt, reliving some of all that kind of shit. But you said something earlier that kind of resonated. None of us have ever really kind of moved on fully because everything is still in there. You just sort of compartmentalize it.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like this, it's been a year. Obviously, there's going to be times, and you said you're going for it now, right? Every week, every 2 weeks, every day, every month, that the fucking chimp gets back in your head and goes, do it. And what they say is these kind of out-of-body experiences or plant medicine stuff supposedly gets you out of that. That's why I was curious when I asked it. I didn't know if you looked into it. I've not done it, so I can't talk. I just want to speak. Yeah. It's going to change your way of thinking.
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
If you're okay.
Yeah, I'm comfortable. And, you know, when it gets hard, when it gets hard for me, when something comes, I kind of got the tools to work through it. I don't want to complicate it.
Biggest regret, bro? There's one thing you could change. If you go back to 15-year-old Daniel O'Reilly, there's one thing you tell him not to do or to do or to say.
Get sober before my wedding. Not to drink on my wedding day. Sorry, mate. Yeah, tough one.
Some more, mate. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Sorry, mate.
It's all right, mate. Take your time.
Yeah, sorry, man. That's shame, guilt.
It's fucking raw, that, isn't it?
Yeah, not too...
Is it something you can talk about?
I don't like to talk too much about Shelley because it's her own personal stuff, right?
Of course.
But
it's amazing that you said that, though. I didn't know that about you, but I was in my head. I was thinking, could it be the dad thing? Could it be this thing? Could it be that thing?
It's the only thing that really hurts is hurting her, man, and hurting. That's the only thing I really care about. You know, I can handle everything I've done to myself. Do you know what I mean? Everything that I've done to fuck my own stuff up, I can handle, but. You can't, you can't turn back time and do that day again. I can't do it again. You know what I mean? And, some relationships were ruined on that day. You know, I haven't really spoken to my best man since, because I fucked up the speech. I didn't thank him. I was drunk. You know, there's a lot of pain from that day. You know, I can't remember seeing my kids on the day, but there's a lot of trauma that's, you know, it's marriage and, you know, it's deep, you know, it's marriage. My mum and dad's marriage and, the fear around marriage, I don't know, you know, these big events, these big celebrations. The problem that you've got if you can't control your drinking is you run the risk of ruining every celebration in your life because we drink when we celebrate. You know, so, yeah, biggest regret. Sorry, mate.
It's all right.
Oh, man.
It's heavy, mate. I've only been married 2 years, so I get what those days are like, and I've just been in a wedding in Mallorca. I was actually saying to my therapist on Tuesday, she was like, how did you feel at that wedding? And like, you sort of sat there at the back and listening. Have you been to a wedding since your wedding?
No.
That's when it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if I could do it, but
It's heavy, mate.
yeah, it's really tough because I knew it was happening and I couldn't stop it. You know, I was drinking the night before,
Which is pretty standard,
yeah,
right? As in, like,
yeah, but I can't. You know, it's like Las Vegas in my mind when I start. You know, I didn't even care at the time.
shows how much you love her, though, man.
Yeah, I know.
As in, it genuinely.
Yeah, but do you know what the thing is? If I never got sober, I never would have been bothered by it because I didn't care. Do you know what I mean? When I was drinking and using drugs, I was like, I deserve it. It's my day. You know, I never would have had to sit with the feelings. That's why sobriety is so beautiful, but so hard. You know, and through my sobriety, there's many things that I've done. You know, both the births of my daughters, wet in the baby's head, and then gone. You know, when she's there with the baby. You know, those beautiful memories. And that's what I say to people. If you can't control your drinking and drug use, you run the risk of ruining all those beautiful times. Because that's when you drink, right? And but through my sobriety, getting upset about it and then saying to her, oh, do you know what I've been thinking about? It gives her relief. You know, it makes her go, oh, you see that? Because she loves me, right? So she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to ruin a year's sobriety and go. By the way, do you remember when you was fucking doing this and that? You know, she don't want to drive me back to drink, right? So,
But she sounds like a fucking saint.
yeah, she is, mate. Yeah, she is.
Because, like, you've said about 4 different things throughout the life, and you're talking about the same girl every time.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mental, mate.
Because sometimes when you were saying a few things, I thought, oh, it must be the ex, but it's the same.
No, she's 10 years. Yeah, I mean, we've been on
Yeah,
and off.
yeah.
But she met me when I was flying high. You know, I had my TV show, and she's a glamour model. So she come for a photo shoot when I was doing a tour, and you know, I pulled her and that, and fucking, you know.
Sorry, I don't mean to lie. I just thought about the old you there for a second.
Yeah, but and then she was like, she had like a stint of being with me while I was on TV, and everyone loved me. And then it's like she was fucking going out with like the worst fucking geezer on the planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Misogynistic, pro-rape, fucking
Still stuck by you.
anti-women. And she stuck by me through all of that. She didn't, you know, she stayed with me for that. And I lost all our money. I lost everything, right? You know, to dumping her when she got fucking pregnant and, you know, attempting fucking suicide, to coming back, to doing Big Brother, stuck with me through that, to coming out, having money again, and then building our life, and then through addiction and fucking all of that. You know what I mean? So
What a fucking journey, by the way.
So you can understand when I sit here and go, I'm happy. Yeah, it's deep, isn't it? I don't realise until I fucking sit here and talk about it. It's fucking
because
mad.
you've lived it as well. You might not be able to register just how deep it is.
Yeah.
Only when you say, I guess, when you say it out loud, and when someone sat across from you that maybe hasn't had similar or the same experiences, and I'm listening, I'm thinking, fucking hell, fair play. Because that awareness is really powerful, mate, as well.
Yeah, and I think it puts me in a good position to be able to talk about addiction and mental health and stuff like that. I never say, you know, I just say what's working for me, that's all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, obviously there's parts I'd change, like the wedding and stuff like that, but I think it's a great story.
The wedding thing is unfortunate, right? But like we said about earlier, it's done. You can't change that. No amount of guilt is going to change that. We're talking about being present. But actually, what you've done, all that work you've done in the last year towards Shelley and your 2 daughters, and how all the work you're going to do in the future is going to show.
Oh, yeah.
Is going to make up.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah.
I can't speak for her. I'm just speaking for myself. If I was in that same position,
you're
happy. Dedicating the rest of your life.
Yeah, and like, you know, this is, if anyone out there is doing what I was doing, you know, that is wrapped up in being a twat and hurting the people they love, you know, it's never too late, right, to switch around. But the beautiful thing is, you just got to pick something. Like for me, I pick my kids, right? I just put the missus and my kids there and the drink. I mean, it took me fucking years, mate. 5-6 years, she's banging on about I'm drinking too much drugs. So if you're struggling, it's because you're an addict, right? But the way that I managed to do it in my mind is when I had to spend time away from them, I just thought, you know, when they're 16, what do they want? What do I want them to remember? What do I want them to remember? Me and the missus screaming and shouting at each other every weekend because I've been an arsehole and I'm hungover on the couch, or me, you know?
The real you.
Yeah.
Mate, it's powerful you sharing that, because there's going to be a lot of people listening that might be a slightly different audience to your normal kind of podcast you do and your group you do, that will find strength to make change in that.
Hope so.
Genuinely. What's next for you, bro? You got your tour coming, you said?
Yeah, I'm again, great karma. You know, I've achieved more in this last year than I have in the 10 years trying to claw back my career. I got a 30-date UK tour, stand-up comedy.
Sick.
Yeah. Which
Any Bournemouth date?
I think there is. Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah.
I'll come to that, Ferris.
Come to my Instagram. Have a look on my Instagram. It's in the bio, Dapper's Instagram. But a tour. I've written another film. I do a bit of film work. So I've written a film that I'm trying to get produced, and just trying to stay sober. Well, I say trying to stay sober. I'm just enjoying myself, man. I'm just like, everything's calmed down. It's like, when I used to do podcasts, I'd be like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. I just kind of like, let's just keep it like this. Do you know what I mean? I'm all right.
Yeah. That film, do you produce then, or will you be in it as well?
Yeah, I produce, because obviously being who I am, it's very difficult to get cast and like audition for things. So I learned a little while ago that, writing and producing, and I learned a lot from Terry Stone. He's the producer who does all the Rise of the Foot Soldier stuff and all of that.
Yeah.
He produced 2 films for me. That I've been in. One of them's out now. You can watch it. It's called The Last Heist. But they're low budget British films.
I like them though sometimes, mate.
And
they're quite cool.
I'm just learning, mate. Just learning. So I've written another script, and it's based around all of this stuff. It's called Sessions, and it's follows the journey of a man. And
is it a film? Yeah, not
film,
a documentary.
Film. And yeah, we're going through the process now. You got to write it, then you got to raise the finance, and then you got to shoot it, and then distribute it.
Funds have got to be the hardest part in it. With films.
Yeah.
Raising money. Fucking hell, mate. Mate, fair play. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Wow.
You're a legend, man.
Thank you. That was a great chat. I'm going to go and need like a debrief with my counsellor, but it was good.
Sorry, mate.
No, you got the tears as well, so you got a little viral clip there.
Yeah, mate. I
think you started crying as well.
I'm probably going to get shut for saying this. I'm a mincer, mate.
Yeah.
That is, I'm very emotionally in tune.
Yeah,
I cry all the time.
That's brilliant, though.
I cry, like I had to hold that back.
Yeah.
I'll watch something and cry. I'll listen. Even at that wedding a week ago, I can't help.
We're scared, but before we finish, we're scared of guilt and shame. We're scared of it. You've got to sit with it. It's beautiful. Like the pure fact that I can now sit with the things that I've done wrong, it gives me freedom from them. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, it gives my missus not closure, because she'll always be hurt from it, but it makes her finally go, oh, he fucking sees it, instead of he's just pretending that didn't happen. And then she can love me, you know what I mean?
Your actions are telling the story, right?
Yeah.
It's not like before where you're going, I'm going to stop, babe, I'm going to stop, babe, I'm going to stop, babe.
Exactly.
You're doing it.
You got to, like, if you want to be a good person, like a genuinely good person, just put the fucking work into it, you know what I mean? We can't always get it right, though. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, mate.